Oh man, I feel like I got ligma, man.
Is it anything like Sugma?
This is brought to you by memes that are already dead.
That's right. It's been around for 2 days. It's already a dead meme.
Stop trying to make
Ligma
happen. It's not going to happen.
You know what's not dead though? Lamon Gamon merch.
Oh baby.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Officially now, it's on the store, guys. We haven't got it yet. It's so fresh and new and crispy that we don't even have it yet. But it is coming in a couple of weeks. We're going to have our own merch. Lamon Gamon is coming, everyone. It's in stores now until the 13th, I think, of August. Something like that.
No one gives a fuck, Sam.
No one cares.
P.S. That's your birthday.
Oh! Hey-oh!
Nobody cares.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say.
Today we're here for that juicy Anthem clickbait because it's been a while since Anthem has been in the news, and it's actually quite interesting stuff because one of the senior developers from Anthem has resigned after 22 years. He's done an interview where he says some stuff about the relationship with EA and how Anthem got created, and we thought, let's talk about it
after this. Okay guys, so EA, Anthem, everyone knows it's the big EA title.
It's the Destiny killer.
It is going to be the Destiny killer if it's good enough.
True. Question mark.
Question mark. ...
We've been tracking Anthem ever since it was first announced. We saw it a while back. Well, I first saw it obviously at E3 like 2 years ago, and I was like, this looks incredible, can't wait.
No, a year ago. We were together. Yeah.
Was that a year ago now?
You are fake news.
Oh my god, it feels like so
Time
much longer.
flies.
It's time does fly. So then after that though, we actually went behind closed doors at EA Play and we watched the trailer. Before then we were quite skeptical. We're like, what is this? You know, is this really a Bioware game? Does this actually look like fun or not? The trailers look very underwhelming. We're behind closed doors. It looked quite solid.
Yep.
And that what we saw was actually released publicly a few weeks ago. Everyone can see that extended gameplay thing. I think people are feeling much more comfortable that this looks like a pretty fun game.
Yep.
But the question is it actually a Bioware game? And that's really sort of been a cloud hanging over this game from the start.
Yeah, and also I think there's a lot of questions still that aren't answered in that video, like what kind of, is it a looter shooter, what kind of end game? It didn't really get into a lot of
I think we know it's
stuff.
a looter shooter, but it's like, is there going to be an end game at launch? And I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be. That team, I'm certain right now at Bioware, are crunching their ass off to get like a day one product shipped.
Yep.
And then they're like, we'll worry about the end game afterwards. Like, and I think all the interviews and all the stuff that's been said to this point hasn't clearly said, oh yeah, this is the end game. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been very vague, very amorphous, like we've seen with any of those other MMO light games like The Division and Destiny. It's kind of like, we'll worry about that tomorrow, you know? But more information has come out today about the sort of origin and genesis of this title and what it could mean for Bioware in the future. Because one of the senior developers from Bioware, he's been there for 22 years, he just resigned and he did a big ass interview with Game Informer talking about that decision. So this guy's name is James Olin. He's been there for 22 years. He was playing a role in the development of Anthem. And I guess the first question that Game Informer asked him was really like, why are you leaving at this point in the development cycle?
I remember that actually, that became like big news that he's leaving and shit, but in reality, he was there for 22 years, for God's sakes. He just wanted to fucking leave. He was like, you know what, I'm done with EA shit.
I guess I'm too old for that sort of nonsense anymore. I don't like it here. I've decided not to stay.
If I've been somewhere for 22 years, I reserve the right to leave whenever the fuck I
Yeah,
want.
you can leave
You know what I mean?
any day. It doesn't matter what it is. But anyway, this is what he actually said. I had stepped in to help out on parts of Anthem, but my role was not a huge one. I was working as the narrative director for a period of time, about 6 months. But then I handed off most of the leadership to Kathleen Rutsert. I just wasn't really in the place where I was like, do I want to go back to doing administrative director of design type things? I wasn't. I was in a place where I needed to go back to being focused on doing creative stuff.
Which, as I said, fair enough. I get that. But what's interesting about this is that he was working as part of the narrative team.
Yeah.
And that also saw the resignation of Drew Karpathian during that time. Yeah. And it also saw the resignation of Hol Hood during that time, who was the lead studio writer. There was a lot of attrition within the writing team during this period, and that sort of raises a few alarm bells to me, because it's kind of like you've got a lot of talent that's been taken out of that team at one point in time.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Not to mention, like, if it was just like a small project and they didn't see a future or they didn't think it was going to be great in their resume, I'd kind of understand. But this is like the game kind of coming out for not only EA, but kind of the industry, I think, in the next 12 months. Like, everyone's watching to see this. But so when I hear this, I go, there must have been some issues within either, you know, the workplace itself or maybe the whole EA thing. Who knows?
May have been a minute late. Well, no, but according to this, you were 2 minutes late. So either you're a liar or
This system is off by a full minute.
The only hitch? I work for this guy.
EA. I think that's actually a really good point, and the interview actually addresses that directly. And he asks, given that the culture is intact and the studio is still working on these big, amazing projects, to what do you attribute the talent bleed at Bioware? It's certainly been a steady stream of veteran developers leaving for a while now. James responds, when you've been in a studio for a long time, sometimes you just want to strike out on your own and do your own thing. The fact is, with bigger and bigger games, people are working with larger and larger teams. Working on the development of Star Wars: The Old Republic, I was the game director, which meant I had the most power, but I often felt like I was the captain of the Titanic and I could just steer it a teeny tiny bit if I put all my effort in. That boat metaphor right there, ladies and gentlemen.
God.
That man right here.
He must have watched some crummy YouTuber.
I can think of no better metaphor for Destiny than the Yarra Viking. He understands boat metaphors. He really does. But like he makes a good point here. Like if you've been there a really long time at a studio like Bioware, it's totally fair just to want to change it up. But the question is, would you try and change it up when that studio is deep in the development of its like biggest ever, most important game? I feel like in that circumstance, I'd kind of want to hang on a little bit and be like, look, we're going to get through this next few months. I'm going to help out. And then after that, we're all going to sail off into the sunset.
That's right. Like one argument I can understand, he's been there for 22 years. He can leave whenever the hell he wants kind of thing.
Put this off for far too long.
But then another side of it, of course, is, you know, he's already kind of quite deep into this. He's obviously put a lot of effort into it. He's been around for so many years. It'd be a great way to maybe finish off
Swan song
by... What's the swan song?
It's the last thing you do before you finish something.
Oh, I knew that. Just testing you guys. Okay. You'd expect him to maybe want to be around just to finish this before he left.
The interviewer actually gets directly to Anthem. He's asking, what's up with Anthem? Okay, he asks, Anthem's shooting felt really good. I was really encouraged by that. But coming out of E3, there's a sense amongst a particular segment of the Bioware community that this game isn't for them. They want a more classic Bioware game with branching conversations, romance, etc. Yeah. Did you all make the choice to move away from that consciously, or is that just how the project evolved over time? To which James responds,
I think one of the things that Bioware has been really good at, which has allowed it to survive for more than 2 decades, is taking risks and trying new and different things. Anthem has been doing things differently than the traditional model that anything you've seen from Dragon Age or Mass Effect back to the Baldur's Gate part of being system-based. Anthem's different from that. Then again, Neverwinter Nights was quite a bit different from when it came out in 2002, and obviously Star Wars: The Old Republic was quite a bit different when it came out in 2011. The fact that Bioware is doing something different with Anthem doesn't mean that Bioware isn't going to do games that skew more towards the traditional style that Bioware is known for. It's just a chance to do something a little different. It was driven by Bioware itself, the team. I know there's a lot of the conspiracy theory that EA is the one behind it, but that's never been the case. Bioware's always had a lot of control over the games it makes.
Conspiracy theories. Who would peddle such theories?
Illuminati confirmed. Laymen confirmed Illuminati.
But I think the critical takeaway here is that, there's this idea that EA forced Bioware to create Anthem. And he's saying that that's not the case. Yeah. Now, who knows if that's true or not? If it's true, then I'm sure EA were thrilled when Bioware came to them and said, we want to make a Destiny killer type game and we're able to monetize it for days with cosmetics and DLC.
Yes,
how about it, EA? Like, mwaha.
But I think there's a few ways you can read that though, because, I mean, I can't even read that, let's face it.
There's a few ways you can, certainly a lot of ways Sam can read it.
Yeah. I had stepped in, do I want to go back to doing administrative direct... I can't even fucking say it. Okay. Go back to being... Fucking hell, I'm so dumb this morning. But there's a few ways that you can actually read that in terms of... He could be saying that we had full kind of artistic license and creative license, or he could be saying we had the idea of Anthem in the first place. It's hard to really know exactly what he means.
But I just think he's basically dispelling the idea that EA forced them to do something they didn't
or
want to do.
forces the whole direction of the thing.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like, one of the things I speak to a lot of game developers, and one of the things they experience in themselves is like fatigue on staying on the same thing. If you're a studio and you're making the same type of game over and over again, you get really bored of that, and you really want to try different shit. Yeah. And I can understand how Bioware, having made a certain type of game for so long, thinks, fuck it, we want to do something different. Totally. You know, that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that EA were, as I said, pretty thrilled that they were going to go down this route, because this really works for EA's game.
It totally does. They're like, oh, Oh yeah, baby, loot boxes. But like, I can see that. Like, it's a shame that, you know, when you create a tried and tested model and you do it over and over again, the moment you want to do something different, everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck, man? You know, you guys have been corrupted or some shit. You know?
It's like we would really like to start doing more toy unboxings on our channel, but people just won't let us do it because they just said they only want the Laymen.
Or Ralph wants to do makeup tutorials, but they just won't let him do it.
And the interviewer really goes to the heart of this sort of conspiracy theory, you know, issue. And he asked directly, speaking of conspiracy theories, one of the things that you see float around the internet right now is that due to Andromeda underwhelming and EA's reputation of having an itchy trigger finger when it comes to studio closures, Bioware will be shuttered if Anthem isn't a hit. Is there any sense internally amongst the staff that this is the level of pressure on the studio at this point? Big question.
Big question. Here's
His
the
response.
answer.
No. Period. The more success the studio has, the more freedom and resources that it has. So obviously, Bioware wants to have success with Anthem because that will be good for the studio as a whole. However, I think EA is looking for Bioware to be a long-term part of the company. I think EA really respects what Bioware brings to it. Bioware is a lot different than all the other aspects of its business, so even if Anthem doesn't do well, I think it's going to be great. But if it doesn't do gangbusters, I don't think that's the end of Bioware. I think it will simply be a chance for Bioware to learn some lessons and apply it to the next game that comes out.
I think...
But first of all, hang on, can I just say that's not a stirring endorsement? Can I just say, like, he didn't say, Bioware's Anthem's gonna be fucking huge, man, don't worry about it, it's gonna be amazing, trust me, don't worry about this, it's all fine.
With that kind of question, he had nowhere to go but say no. He's not gonna be like, yep, we're done, guys, no worries. He's never gonna say that.
To say something like, if it flops, Bioware's okay, like, it just seems weird that you would give it that phraseology.
I think the question led to that, though. He had to respond to that question. You know what I mean?
I don't know. If I would have just shut it down, I would have just been like, listen, Anthem's going to be fucking great. Everyone's going to love it. Don't worry about that.
I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't be like, Anthem is going to be the greatest.
Game.
It's going to be great. No, I wouldn't do that. I think what he did there was perfect. No, we're going to survive.
It was a very real answer. And like, you know, and he did say that the studio is not feeling that pressure. It makes sense that EA would not want to shut up Bioware. Like, it's a huge, huge studio. Tons of history behind it. It owns so much IP.
Yeah.
We're talking about Mass Effect, we're talking about Dragon Age, talking about Baldur's Gate, KOTOR, like all that shit. To be able to throw all that away just seems like a bad.
I mean, if they throw them away, there's more companies there's more development houses that they've closed than they've bought, for God's sake.
Well, that's already the case now anyway.
Oh, yeah. There's so much IP here, there's just no way that they would ever actually close.
Well,
in my opinion, I don't think they'd ever close it. Because they've just got so much IP sitting in the vault. I mean,
the problem is that they might shutter the studio and then keep the IP and then release it as a mobile game.
Oh,
mobile Mass Effect. Oh, God, my heart. Just saying it out loud.
An RTS KOTOR.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's clickable, like, unlock Force gems.
Terrible.
You know, like, fuck off. Anyway, that's it. That's what this guy has to say. Overall, I think, you know, it's a very honest interview. There's actually a lot more of it. I recommend checking it out because it talks about his career. He was the game designer, the lead designer on The Old Republic as well, that big MMO that kind of flopped. And he basically said he really wished he didn't try and make like Star Wars, but with World of Warcraft. He really wished that he kind of made Star Wars like online Knights of the Old Republic. Because that's what fans wanted and it would have set the title apart more. But that's, you know, the beauty of hindsight. It's 2020 and it's a great interview. Check it out. But either way, Anthem's coming out next year. A lot of pressure on Bioware, a lot of pressure on EA, and we'll keep you updated.
We're going to be live on Twitch playing No Man's Sky for the next 2 or 3 hours. Love to see you there. Description, pin comment. That's where you'll find us. See you, fam.